Good morning. I hope all of you are happy and safe. Welcome back to yet another section of Indian writing in English. Today we are going to start our novel Roots and Shadows, written by Shashi Deshpande. So let us start with Shashi Deshpande. Shashi Deshpande is one of the eminent novelists of contemporary Indian literature in English. Western readers align her with Anida Desai. Indeed, both writers' work centers around women's lives in modern Indian society. However, only Deshpande lives and writes in India, and she explicitly addresses Indian readers, not the international marketplace. Deshpande was born in 1938 in Dharwad. She is the younger daughter of the Sanskrit scholar, novelist, actor and dramatist R.V. Jagirdar and his wife Sharda Arya. Under the name of Adya Rangacharya and also under the pseudonym of Sri Ranga, he published a huge literary oeuvre that includes translations of Sanskrit plays. He enjoyed great success and fame. His work has become part of the national Indian heritage. So these are the details about her father. Deshpande grew up in a family that belonged to the upper middle class, and so does her own family. She is the second daughter of Sri Ranga. She was given the typical education at a British convent school, moved on to Bombay University and studied economics and political science, took a second degree in law in Bangalore, had her first job with a lawyer, then a law reporter for the magazine Onlooker. Finally, she was by then married. With 2 sons, she added a degree in journalism and topped that with a Master of Art. In 1962, she marries Dhirendra H. Deshpande, a medical doctor. The couple settles in Bombay, where her husband takes up work as pathologist at GS Medical College. In 1968, they go to stay in London for a year. In 1970, they move on to Bangalore, where they settle for good. Their son Raju would live there too until his early death in 2017. Their son Vikram lives in the US. Shashi Deshpande is considered as one of the most proficient women writers in India. She, being a person of Indian origin with cultural values, never gave much importance to her career. She had devoted her early years of marriage taking care of housework and nurturing the children. Writing did not come to Deshpande as a conscious decision. She had 2 children, no career. She got restless with being just a housewife and mother. In England, she felt isolated, with no friends and her husband away all day. On their return to India, her husband encouraged her to write about this experience. 1972 saw her first short story, The Legacy. Many more were to follow. Her father advised publication, otherwise the stories would get lost. So I told you, after the education, very soon she got married. Then she became very busy in her life as a wife and as a mother. But after some years, again she felt loneliness. So actually her husband told her to write something about her life. As the result, we can see that her first short story, it happened in 1972. Her first short story is The Legacy. This began a career that would make her a name in India and beyond. Her father had taught her Sanskrit. She also speaks Marathi and Kannada, is well versed in the huge realm of Indian mythology, which she reads against the grain from her own feminist position. But she writes in English. Her English schooling and her reading that has taken her through the better part of English literary history will add to the subtext of her own texts. Actually, she can fluently speak English, Marathi, Kannada, all these languages, but she preferred to write in English. The web of her main text, however, is woven from Indian women's life, their day-to-day living deeply impregnated by religious, social and political traditions and gender relations determined by male power structures. Her to date 11 novels, children's books to long stories and many short stories rest on the complexities of tradition and modernity, a tradition that does not go unquestioned in Deshpande's work. So we can see that when he starts to write, he started to write about women, what is happening around women. Then he also speaks about the impregnated by religious, social and political traditions, gender relations determined by male power. In addition to that, he also wrote children's books, novels. Okay. Deshpande creates figures that take her readers through the social strata of urban society. But her interest comes to center more and more on women of the middle and upper middle classes. Even she speaks about all types of women, but she gives more importance to the middle and upper middle classes women. Well-educated women who fight for their own space, for their place in the family and in their social and their cultural settings. This setting is the backdrop to her stories. Action remains private, even with a rape, which is, after all, private only to a certain degree. With her first published novel, The Dark Holds No Terrors, it was published in 1986. Through this novel, she introduces this painful topic that had already been there as marital rape in one of her early stories, The Intrusion. Later follows it up in The Binding Wine, 1992, and in Shadow Play. It is in 2013. She is an eminent Indian woman novelist in English. She is also one of the most popular short story writers in India because she already wrote short stories. She has written special for books for little children. She reflects a realistic picture of contemporary middle class woman in her writing. Her novels are set in big towns like Mumbai, Bangalore. Sometimes the town is mentioned, sometimes it is felt to our imagination. Anyway, most of the novels she selected the towns like Mumbai and Bangalore. Shashi Deshpande is very renowned name in fiction writing in Indian English literature. She published her first collection of short stories in 1978 and her first novel, The Dark Holds No Terror, in 1980. She won the Sahitya Akademi Award for the novel The Long Silence in 1990 and the Padma Shri Award in 2009. Her novel Shadow Play was shortlisted for the Hindu Literary Prize in 2014. Shashi Deshpande has written 4 children's books, a number of short stories and 9 novels, besides several perspective essays now available in a volume entitled Writing from the Margin and Other Essays. That is the collection of his essays. I repeat, Writing from the Margin and Other Essays. Then about her children's books, A Summer Adventure, The Hidden Treasure, The Only Witness, The Narayanpur Incident. These are her 4 children's work. Then we can go through the major works of Shashi Deshpande. The Dark Holds No Terrors, it published in 1980. Then If I Died Today, 1982. Come Up and Be Dead, 1983. Roots and Shadows, 1983. The Long Silence, 1989. The Intrusion and Other Stories, 1993. The Matter of Time, 1996. The Binding Wine, 2002. Small Remedies, 2000. Moving On, 2004. In the Country of Delight, 2008. Shadow Play, 2013. Furthermore, she has written unbeaten short stories in the following anthologies. The other works, The Legacy and Other Stories, it published in 1978. It was Dark, published in 1986. The Miracle and Other Stories, published in 1986. It was The Nightingale, published in 1986. The Intrusion and Other Stories, published in 1994. Deshpande has won many awards and honors, including the Padma Shri Award in 2009. Okay, so we can move to speak about her first book, the first short story, The Legacy. Okay, Shashi Deshpande's first book was The Legacy, a collection of short stories, and since then she has published dozens of stories. The authentic recreation of India, the outstanding feature of her stories, is a distinct feature of her novels also. There is nothing sensational or exotic about her India. No Maharajas or snake charmers. She does not write about the grinding poverty of the Indian masses. She describes another kind of deprivation, emotional. The woman deprived of love, understanding and companionship is the center of her work. It is the important thing. He didn't speak about the poverty of in India. More than that, she focused about woman. I told you how the woman deprived of love, understanding, companionship. These are the major themes of her works. She shows how traditional Indian society is biased against women. But she recognizes that it is very often women who oppresses their sisters through their values are the result of centuries of indoctrination. Then we are moving to speak about another short story, A Liberated Woman. An early short story, A Liberated Woman, is about a young woman who falls in love with a man of a different caste and marries him in spite of parental opposition. She is intelligent and hardworking and becomes a successful doctor, but her marriage breaks up because of her success. So here we talked about two short stories of Shashi Deshpande. Now I want to speak about her novels. So Shashi Deshpande's novels, the themes and topics, the cultural contexts of her novels seem to reflect Deshpande's own family and its cultural setting. There is a literature, Indian myths, traditional Indian music, medicine, an intimate or at least a close relationship to her father, all of this being part of the fabric of A Matter of Time. It was published in 1999. Small Remedies 2000, Moving On 2004, and Most Directly of Strangers to Ourselves. It was published in 2015. About her novels, novels are family novels. Family in their generational unfolding, in their ramifications, is the groundwork of the novels. Its intricacies, by the way, are more easily understood if readers, in particular Western readers, take to paper and pencil and draw a family tree. The complexities of this groundwork are not just family complexities, they are also the complexities of memory, and it is this that women shape as it has shaped them, that they experience and that they leave behind through divorce or through separation. Then we can go to her writing style. Okay. Shashi Deshpande is an eminent Indian woman novelist in English. She is also one of the most popular short story writer in India. She has written special for books for little children. We already discussed those work. She reflects a realistic picture of contemporary middle class women in her writing. Her novels are set in big towns like Mumbai, Bangalore. Sometimes the town is mentioned, sometimes it is left to our imagination. She is a very renowned name in fiction writing in Indian English literature. Her novels are translated into many languages such as Hindi, Marathi, Malayalam, Tamil, Urdu, German, Dutch, Finnish, Danish and Kannada. She has also been awarded Sahitya Akademi Award. Indeed, Deshpande is a good mother, a good wife and an eminent writer. Hence, in 2009, she has been awarded a prestigious Padma Shri award by the Government of India for her great contribution to the Indian English literature. This research this one focuses on the narrative techniques and style of writing of Shashi Deshpande in her novels. So we are going to speak about her narratives technique or writing style. Okay. Shashi Deshpande is a very eminent woman novelist and short story writer. She has used a fine narrative technique and style to make her novels interesting and realistic. She tells the story of her novel using a common method of storytelling. Indian English novelists used a plain narrative or storytelling which is the most common method of storytelling, and the novelist is omnipresent and omniscient in this type of writing. The first person narrative is usually employed by the novelists to make his story appear more realistic or more credible. While novels written in such manner have a ring of authenticity to them, they do not enable the novelist to look deep into the minds and motive of the rest of the characters. The use and appropriate technique was the major problem for the Indian English novelists. But Shashi Deshpande overcomes this problem by using a combination of the first person and the third person narrative coupled with the flashback devices to lend force and realism to the novel. A chronological analysis of Deshpande's development as a novelist requires a close study of her. So I think all of you got the idea about his narrative technique style. I told you, instead of the first person narrative, actually she uses a combination of first person and the third person narrative. That is the technique she used. The combination of first person and the third person narrative coupled with the flashback devices to lend force and realism to the novel. In addition to that, actually she mixed up with the first person and third person narration, and she also coupled it with the flashback devices. So her works feels the realism to the novel. Then two narrative technique and style used by her in her novels. Deshpande's 10 novels have a very fantastic and realistic narrative technique. Shashi Deshpande has used her fantastic narrative technique and style in her first full-length novel, Roots and Shadows. Yes, we are going to study Roots and Shadows. Okay, actually in her novel Roots and Shadows, she used a fantastic narrative technique and style in her first full-length novel. The present novel deals with the protagonist Indu, a painful self-analysis. But Deshpande tries to cover several other themes in this novel. There is a theme of woman's fate in general and the old order giving way to the new order. Deshpande avoids the simple technique of straightforward narration and employs the flashback method to capture the interest of the reader. I already told you she used the mixing of first and third person narration. She also coupled it with a flashback device. Then she didn't use the straightforward narration. Instead of that, and she also avoids the simple technique to capture the interest of the reader. I am speaking about the novel Roots and Shadows. In the novel Roots and Shadows, the first chapter deals with the present and the other chapters move backwards in time in the past, and the final chapter of the novel is again in the present. So it is an example. I told you, mixing the first person and third person narration coupled with a flashback. The best example for her work, the Roots and Shadows. Okay. This type of narration has been criticized by various critics and reviewers. These critics and reviewers say that this type of narration creates confusion in the mind of reader. The entire novel is written in the first person narrative. The narrator is a young woman writer who returns to her childhood home after a long gap of 15 years and finds herself in the whirlpool of family intrigues. The first person narration also allows the author to probe deep into the mind of the protagonist, exposing her fears and frustrations with admirable candor, inviting the praise of reviewers and critics. A famous reviewer, Vastan C.W., compares Shashi Deshpande to the master storyteller Chekhov. Actually, Vastan C.W. compares Shashi Deshpande's work with the master storyteller Chekhov. Other South Indian writer has been compared to Chekhov, but Shashi Deshpande in this novel at least comes closest to that writer. And the tragic comedy of the cherry orchard is constantly recalled in the description of the crumbling house and the squabbling of the family. The writing is beautifully controlled and avoids the temptation of sentimentality which the subject might suggest, and again the control is reminiscent of Chekhov. Deshpande's another novel, The Dark Holds No Terrors, portrays the psychological problems faced by the protagonist Sarita. The next novel, I took it as an example, The Dark Holds No Terrors. In this novel, the protagonist is Sarita. She has psychological problems. In this novel, Deshpande shifts the narrative from the first person to third person. When Deshpande was asked by Lakshmi Holmstrom in an interview as to how she had hit upon this technique, Deshpande replied like this: "The present is the third person and the past is the first person. I was doing throughout in the first. But that's often a perspective I use in my short stories. I wanted to be more objective, so then I tried it in the third. But it wouldn't work at all. Yet I really needed to distance myself from the narrative in the present. Otherwise, it was going to be far intense. And then I read an American novel by Lisa Alter, where she uses this method." Actually, Shashi Deshpande was inspired to get this style from Lisa Alter. She also uses mixing of first person and third person narration. And the minute I came across her novel, I thought, let me admit it freely, oh God, this is how I am going to do my novel. Like that, The Dark Holds No Terrors happened. I think all of you got the idea. She was highly influenced by the American writer Lisa Alter. Lisa also uses the same technique. She mixes the first person and third person narration. So she was influenced by Lisa Alter, and that's why she used the same technique in her novel The Dark Holds No Terrors. Okay. Then we are moving to the next style of Deshpande. This is the method of storytelling by which the novelist tells the story objectively. The book reviewer Meenakshi Mukherjee reviews the novel The Dark Holds No Terrors and says, "No summary will do justice to the intricate web the author has woven through the superimposition of the past over the present, through dreams, nightmares, flashbacks, introspection, and simple, straightforward third-person narration." Deshpande's Sahitya Akademi Award-winning novel, The Long Silence, is a very complex novel about suppression and freedom. Okay. I told many critics and readers, they already raised the voice against this type of narration, mixing up with the first person and third person narration. And I told you she didn't use the straightforward technique. So the third, we are speaking about her another important novel, The Long Silence. Actually, this novel won the this novel, The Long Silence, it is a complex novel. It won the Sahitya Akademi Award. Then it is very complex novel about separation and freedom and despair and triumph, which played a better part in the heroine's mind through memories and recollections. The narrative of the novel is like an interior monologue, quite similar to the stream of consciousness technique used by Virginia Woolf. Then she used another technique in her very famous novel, The Long Silence. I told you it is a award-winning novel, Sahitya. It won the Sahitya Akademi Award. Then she used the another technique in this novel. It is interior monologue. Actually, it is quite similar to the stream of consciousness technique used by Virginia Woolf. Okay. Prema Nandakumar rightly observes that the novel, The Long Silence, is not a forbidding stream of consciousness probe in Virginia Woolf tradition. It is very much a conventional tale full of social realism evoked by links of memory. But another controversy, another point of view by Padma Nandakumar, she says it is not forbidding the stream of consciousness, rather than it is the conventional tale full of social realism evoked by links of memory. Not mystery recollection, but clear-eyed storytelling. Okay. Then the narrator Jaya achieves a kind of catharsis by an objective analysis of what went wrong with her marriage and why she had failed as a writer. The narrative technique is beautifully described by Jaya, who is telling her one story. Thus, the narrative technique used in this novel by Deshpande is like an interior monologue, I told you. Deshpande has intermingled the present and the past in the novel. Deshpande's other novel, The Binding Vine, is a different kind of novel. It differs in its mode of narration from Deshpande's earlier novels. The narrative structure of Deshpande's earlier novels, such as Roots and Shadows, The Dark Holds No Terrors, and The Long Silence, do not develop chronologically, but it moves back and forth thematically, slowly relating one incident after another until the entire story is revealed. That means we can feel the chronological order in the case of these three novels which we discussed earlier. Okay, but in the case of this novel, it is entirely different. Okay, which is the novel we are speaking, The Binding Vine. Okay. However, in The Binding Vine, separate plots of three different stories are interwoven, bringing together three women separated by age, status, and education. The entire story is narrated in the first person by Urmi, the protagonist of the novel. Deshpande used the poetry and writing in a diary to make glimpses into the life of the narrator's mother-in-law, Meera. This novel indicates the development in Deshpande's narrative technique than her earlier novels. Shashi Deshpande's next novel, A Matter of Time, deals with the human predicament of three women presenting three generations of the same family. Indeed, for the first time, Deshpande makes a man the protagonist of her novel. In this novel, Gospel walks out on his family, comprising the wife and 3 daughters. The novel is narrated in the first person. The past and the present are again mixed with each other in this novel. The novel is structured skillfully and it tells a pathetic story of a deserted woman, Sumi, and her 3 daughters. In this novel, mother-daughter relationship is beautifully presented relationship is beautifully presented by the novelist. Deshpande used satire and irony to present the dilemma of Indian women in Indian society. A review in the New York Times observes that Deshpande's unadorned style refuses to call attention itself and that the book is written in an unfussy, unmagical prose, surely a compliment at a time when used often unexoticized. So we already understood she used the mixing of first person and third person coupled with a flashback. Then she didn't use the straightforward narration. She makes it more complex. In addition to that, she also uses the satire and irony to present the dilemma of Indian woman. Okay, then English language by writers in India is a much debated topic. Deshpande's novel Small Remedies deals with different themes: the personal, the worldly, women's rights, communal violence, and motherhood. It mixes the past and present, focusing on the lives of Savitri Bai, Leela, Munni, and the narrator Madhu herself. It is structured as a biography within a biography with the writer Madhu, often in a dilemma about how to tell her story. Madhu narrates the story of the novel. In this story, woman's dilemma, Indian tradition, and woman's struggle for freedom is skillfully presented by Deshpande. Deshpande faithfully reflects the life as it is without any personal commentary and explanation in this novel. The present novel is highly feminist novel, but she does not want to teach a moral lesson to the society through the novel. Deshpande makes it clear that she does not write her novels with a social purpose. They are written spontaneously, whatever she thinks in her mind. Hence, Deshpande says in an interview to Sue Dickman, "Somebody once asked me if I have a social purpose in my writing, and I very loudly said, no, I have no social purpose. I write because it comes to me." So that is another speciality of Deshpande's writing style. Actually, she didn't focus on a social purpose. She says very clearly in an interview, she writes because it comes to her. Whatever it comes to her, she is writing. She is not deliberately writing for a social purpose. Deshpande's simple but powerful prose reads like a grandmother's tale, which comes from the heart and reaches directly deep into heart of its readers. That is the another speciality. If at one point the use of omniscient narration teases the reader as the speaker claims to foresee events but is not ready to share until time and plot unfolds it. At other end, there is a sudden revelation of plot for poignant appeal. Deshpande's novel Moving On is a presentation of a personal diary of a dead man, read by his daughter, and her own thoughts revolving around the pages she is going through and her own perspective and about the past, which consists of her parents, husband and children. The book talks about family ties, relationships, commitment and generations. Sometimes you just don't have proper words to describe what you feel about certain things. Deshpande's comment over language, verbal ability to match the plot, and easiness with which the story moves and dwells the characters that are designed to form the entire book is truly amazing. A happy childhood, a romantic fling with which the mother disapproved of turning into marriage. A set of complications arising from his sister's illness and a husband's inability to provide for his wife, leading to infidelity and betrayal in the woman's past. The story of a family as it weaves its path through the years and becomes closer knit than it was after undergoing tribulations that could have spilt it wide open. A shade better than an MB and a couple of shades less than a classic is how I would describe it. Deshpande's novel in the Country of Delight is a skillfully structured novel. It is the 10th and the last novel of Deshpande. Devayani is a young married woman living in a small town, Rajnur, in the state of Karnataka in India. She is just recovering from the loss of her mother and starting a new life. Devayani chooses to live alone in the small town of Rajnur after her parents' death, ignoring the gently voiced disapproval of her family and friends. Teaching English, creating a garden and making friends with Rani, a former actress who settles in the town with her husband and 3 children. These are the main theme in that novel. Then she meets Ashok Chinnappa, Rajnur's district superintendent of police, and they fall in love, despite the fact that Ashok is much older, married, and as both painfully acknowledged from the beginning, it is a relationship without a future. Deshpande's writing style is very easy to her readers, and so the pages fly when one reads this novel. The story is told from Devayani's point of view, with many letters thrown in between her narration. The setting of the novel is very authentic small town, India, and the characters described in the book look quite authentic. The love story is interesting with a bittersweet ending. The narrative is the first person from Devayani's perspective. Deshpande uses letters from various people to Devayani, probably to fill out other characters and other perspectives. However, this falls flat as the content of the letters is stilted and definitely not realistic. There is no discernible difference between the regular narrative and the letters in language or tone. Deshpande opens the heart of her protagonists to present the inner thoughts of her heroines. So the narrative becomes realistic or authentic, which creates a beautiful story of her novels. Indeed, Shashi Deshpande's extraordinary skill in portraying inner psychology builds a tale of beauty. In her novels, she uses the Indian myth, which creates an epic quality in her novels. So she is very smart to use Indian myths. Thus, there is an epic quality that she brings to her portraits of families in a time of flux and disintegration of group identities. Deshpande is a very powerful Indian writer who has a full command over the words. Her style of writing is a very attractive for her readers. Really, Shashi Deshpande is one of our finest writers in English. Her style is elegant, substantial, and full of the surprises of exactitude. She is trained as journalist. Deshpande's works focuses on the reality and truth of the lives of Indian women. Deshpande has described her literary style as really a very simple and stark style which rarely draws attention to itself. It has been said that Deshpande rewrites the same novel over and over. In fact, her fictions often begin with a married woman going back to her parents' household and goes on with family secrets being slowly revealed. But it is not true. Each novel has a separate theme, separate heroine, which creates a new meaning. Really, Shashi Deshpande has given a great contribution for the Indian English literature. But she sees that she does not contribute for the propagandist literature. In an interview to Stanley Carvalho, she once again emphatically states, "I hate to write propagandist literature. I think good literature and propaganda do not go together. Any literature written with some viewpoint of providing something rarely turns out to be good literature. Literature comes very spontaneously, and when I write, I am concerned with people." It means that Deshpande writes for only people and the writing comes to her spontaneously. I already told you, Deshpande uses satire and irony or humor in her all novels. We find the flashes of irony and satire in her novels, but they do not seem to be included intentionally by Deshpande. She does not believe that myth is used as a literary device. Apart from narrative technique and style of writing, the most challenging task before Indian English writers is the use of English language in a way that will be distinctively Indian English. The problem generates from the great difference between the Indian and the Western cultures. Like the earlier Indian English writers who used the English language according to their talent, Shashi Deshpande also writes in this language to give voice to women's problems. Deshpande comes from a middle class Marathi Kannada background and she was educated in English at a local school in Dharwad, Karnataka. Even she has also educated in Mumbai in Maharashtra. It is these influences which have played an important role in shaping her writing words of Marathi language. In shaping her writing and the use of the English language. So she has also used some words of Marathi language in her writing. The kind of English language which she uses is very simple. She does not use showy, bombastic or rhetorical English language in her writing. It is so simple and straightforward that it never hinders the readers in any way. Deshpande's concerns has been the expression of the Indian middle class ethos, and her simple, unassuming English reflects it. The English language which she uses is a kind of language used by an average middle class, convent educated individual. She writes about the middle class people and the language used is also middle class English. Sometimes a little incorrect by the British standards. Deshpande's writing is spontaneous. She does not use Indian English awarenessly. Vanamala Vishwanath observes that Deshpande's writing is not obviously Indian. Deshpande says, "No, I don't believe in making it obviously Indian. But all this is basically because I am isolated. I am not part of any movement and conscious of readers to impress. To get wider recognition here and abroad, you have to be in the university and places like that with the right contact. I am an ordinary woman who writes sitting at home. None of these things are within my reach. This has, I believe, done me good. It has given me great freedom. I am happy with this anonymity. Once you get publicity conscious, your writing becomes affected. I am truly happy with the freedom." Shashi Deshpande feels that writing in English is a drawback in this country because it alienates the writer from the mainstream. But Shashi Deshpande considers English as one of the Indian languages. So she says, "I believe that English writing in this country is a part of our literature. I consider English as one more of our bhashas, as Ganesh Dev calls them. I know our writing comes out of an involvement, comes out of our experiences here." So I want to say that Shashi Deshpande is different kind of writer than other Indian English writers in the sense that she was never educated abroad and she is firmly rooted in the Indian soil. Her narrative technique and writing style made her novels very popular among her readers. Her novels are translated into a number of Indian and foreign languages because they attracted the readers because of its themes, structure and narrative technique. Her novels are very popular all over the world. So, Deshpande has been awarded prestigious awards for her novels. Thus, Deshpande's writing style and technique is very simple and straightforward. Thus, novel after another novel, she is a very mature and renowned novelist in the Indian English literature who lives in Bangalore with her doctor husband. So I think all of you got a clear idea about Shashi Deshpande and her writing style. So we will meet in the next class. Thank you.